What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Ranked by James, where today it's another special one because we got a ranking of my personal favorite director of all time, and that's Stanley Kubrick. Now, I've done one director ranking in the past. It was kind of like the soft launch of this channel. It was the first video I did here where I ranked John Carpenter's films. But since then, I've never done a director ranking, and, well, today I figured, I've seen all of Stanley Kubrick's movies multiple times, so why not try and rank them? Sure as hell wasn't easy, let me tell you that, but I finally came up with a list that I think I'm proud of, so let's get started. So at number 13 is The Killer's Kiss. Now, this one, I don't really know. There just wasn't really much to it, and I don't really... these old school crime noir drama movies aren't really necessarily my thing. And so this one follows this guy who's kind of like a washed up boxer. Like, he loses a fight in the opening of the movie and they like boo him out of the building. And then he lives in this like apartment complex, and across the way he sees this girl that he just falls madly in love with. And suddenly she just falls madly in love with him too. Mind you, this whole thing takes place in the span of 2 days. And so this girl is like kind of wrapped up with this dude who I want to say is in the mob, but they don't really explain it. It's just a bunch of scary looking dudes around a table. And so he kind of has to like save her because she gets kidnapped because they plan to like run away from the city. Even though they've only known each other for 2 days, they plan to run away together. So the boxer guy has to come and save her, and it winds up being kind of cool in the end. Like, they have this fight in like a mannequin warehouse, but some of it is a little strange because he's a boxer and he's fighting this like old dude, and the old dude is overpowering him a lot. So it's just, to me, it's just a movie that's just not necessarily my style. Like, it reminds me of the movie Frozen, like the Disney movie, where everybody's making fun of the girl because she got engaged to a guy that she just met the same day. It's like that. It's 2 days, and they keep reminding you too, like, oh, we've only known each other for 2 days, how crazy is that, but now we're running away together. I don't know. It's just not for me, so it's gonna be in last place. At number 12 is The Killing. Now, this certainly is a step up from The Killer's Kiss, but it's just not anywhere close to like the rest of his catalog. Like, Stanley Kubrick, you'll see later on, this guy's got some classics, and The Killing, it's just kind of, to me, it was just like a basic heist movie. Like, the whole movie is just them talking about how they're gonna steal $100,000 from this like horse race, and that's really like the first 2 acts of the whole movie is just them kind of sitting around talking about it, and you kind of get to see the perspectives of all of the different guys in this plan, and one of them's whole thing is that he's getting cucked. That's his whole storyline, and we learn about it for like a weird amount of screen time. And then finally, they do the robbery, and then it ends. And there's like only one dude gets killed, but it's called The Killing. That's something that's always confused me. The title is just kind of weird, but the movie itself is just, it's just not my thing. Like, these kind of movies where, the whole thing is centered around one event that's gonna happen at the end, and the rest of it is just them kind of sitting around talking about how they're gonna do it. It wasn't for me. At number 11 is one that you don't usually see this high, and that's Fear and Desire. Now, this is Stanley Kubrick's first movie, a movie that he hated so much that he tried to have every single copy of it ever made destroyed so that nobody could ever see it again, unsuccessfully, which I think was good because I like this movie. I think this movie's pretty good. Like, it is definitely like more amateur than the others, and you can definitely see like its age, and it's definitely kind of more like, student film looking. But I think the storyline is pretty cool. Like, this whole thing just centers around 4 dudes who just got into a plane crash 6 miles behind enemy lines. and it never tells you what war they're fighting in, it never tells you what country they're fighting for, and I think that makes it so that you can kind of root for these guys really no matter who you are, because you really don't know where they're from. They literally never say, and they kind of slowly, each character, you see how one by one they kind of go crazy, and it kind of starts with them a little bit crazy because they've already crashed and stuff when the movie begins, but one by one they all kind of lose their minds in various different ways. And then I think the ending of the movie is, like, for your debut film, I think was really smart and really bold too. Like, I think that the ending of the movie is something that, like, even like something that like late Stanley Kubrick would think of. Like, it's very smart and cerebral with how it handles how the movie ends, and I really like it. I really thought that it was cool. At number 10 is Paths of Glory. Now, the fact that this movie is only number 10 and it's still one of the greatest war movies probably of all time just goes to show you how many classics this dude really made. Because Paths of Glory is awesome. It follows Kirk Douglas and a couple of others in World War I as the French are trying to, battle the Germans in very much a losing effort. And it shows, the responses of all of these different generals and the soldiers and, what it's like or what it was like in the trenches. Like, the depiction of trench warfare in this movie is almost like second to none. Like, you really get in there. Like, you're in the trenches with these soldiers and you get to see, like, kind of the horrors of what that was like. And, you get the general who says that we need to fire on our own soldiers because he thinks that they're being cowards. And then you get the 3 soldiers who are tried for cowardice, and the whole thing comes back to bite him in the ass because Kirk Douglas, gets the testaments of multiple witnesses of the people who saw the guy say, like, no, we gotta fire on our own soldiers. And it's just, the whole thing comes together so well. It's such a great movie. I think it's pretty underrated too. Like, when you talk about, like, the greatest war movies of all time, a lot of times this one doesn't come up, almost because Stanley Kubrick has so many better war movies. Like, a lot of times this one doesn't even enter the conversation, and I really think it should. Like, its depiction of World War I is, it's really great. At number 9, I guess, depending on your perspective, is the only comedy that Stanley Kubrick ever made, and that is Dr. Strangelove. Now, again, the fact that this is one of my favorite movies ever, and it's only number 9, like, this, you don't understand how difficult this list was to make, because Dr. Strangelove is amazing. I mean, my God, 60-something years later, it's still so funny. Like, Peter Sellers in this movie playing the 4 different characters that he does, he just has you cracking up the entire time. And the whole concept of, this nuclear war that's about to start with Russia because this psycho general named General Jack D. Ripper just went crazy and sent a nuke over to them. It's so, like, it's such a serious topic, but Stanley Kubrick is able to just flip it on its head and make it so funny with, like, the president calling up the Russian president who's drunk at the time, and he's like, yeah, one of our guys, now you're gonna have to hear me out, he made a little bit of a mistake and sent a couple guys to go drop a nuke. Now we're gonna have to figure this out. And, like, the way that the dialogue is delivered in the war room is so funny. This is just one of the best, like, black comedy movies ever. It really is. And for me, it's gonna be number 9. There's not much else I can say. It's hilarious. At number 8 is Spartacus. Now, this is one of Stanley Kubrick's historical epics, and although Kubrick himself didn't necessarily love the movie because it's the only time he didn't really have full creative control. I mean, I do. This is one of the coolest historical epics ever. You know, Kirk Douglas as Spartacus is, you know, perfectly casted in this movie, and the whole story, how it's all played out of Spartacus, this guy being born a slave and, you know, forced to fight for, like, you know, the rich people's entertainment before he turns around and he, like, leads a whole rebellion against them. Like, it's so awesome. It's such a classic story, and I don't think that there was anybody better fit to bring that story to life than Stanley Kubrick, and as well as Kirk Douglas. And my God, they really do an awesome job. You know, Kubrick was planning on doing some more historical epics. Like, I think the big one that everybody, you know, who knows Kubrick knows about is Napoleon. He was going to do that. And I really wish that he saw that through, because judging by Spartacus, which was made fairly early in his career, only in 1960, oh my God, it would have been awesome. Because Spartacus, even though Kubrick didn't have the final cut, still ended up just being a total classic. At number 7 is Lolita. Now, what I'll say about Lolita is, now, listen, I've seen hundreds of horror films, right? It's my favorite genre. The level of discomfort that I was faced with while sitting through the 2.5 hours that were Lolita is next to absolutely none. This is the most uncomfortable watch you will ever have watching anything. I don't care, you read Cannibal Holocaust or The Green Inferno. Those movies are just like kind of gross. This is just, whoa. Like, the trailers and the advertisements, alright, how the hell was this made? It's a satire, you know, just like Dr. Strangelove was, but somehow, instead of satirizing nuclear war, he satirizes a professor grooming a 14-year-old? What? But it's so, like, gripping and strange, because this dude Humbert, that's his name, marries this widow only because he's in love with her 14-year-old daughter, who was played by an actual 14-year-old girl at the time. And I understand, like, it's nowhere near how bad the novel was, but even just what you saw on screen is, like, so just, like, mind-blowing, and how Humbert was crafted to probably be Stanley Kubrick's most evil villain he ever wrote, and all of it is, like, not even, like, he's portrayed to just be like this regular dude for the most part. Like, you don't actually show anything. It's kind of like The Shining. Like, you know what it's about, you know what he's doing, but he's still, I don't even know how to describe this and describe why I like it so much, because I kind of sound like a weirdo if I do. Listen, it's just a really good movie, okay? It's a very disturbing movie, probably only a one-time watch, but I think a movie that most people, if they watched, would be like, oh my God, like, that was something. It really is. So, yeah, I guess for me it's gonna be number 7. Number 6 is A Clockwork Orange. Now, again, I don't think that this is necessarily on the level of Lolita, but still, the discomfort that you face while watching this movie is just crazy. Like, this is probably the most Kubrick of Kubrick movies, I'd say. You know, which is with the subject material and the characters and how the characters act, and how Malcolm McDowell, you know, his character is kind of portrayed. And I think it actually has a really good, like, character arc too. If you really look at it, like, this guy Alex, him and his droogs, going around the streets of England, I think, just messing people up, assaulting people just for fun, literally just being these just inhumane psychopaths. And then Alex gets caught, and they use this new, like, torture method to kind of reform him by, like, the iconic scene. They just like prop his eyes open with the thing and just make him watch just, like, video after video after movie of just, like, horrible, inhumane things, which they don't necessarily show to us, but you can just tell by his reactions. Like, they're showing him some messed up stuff, to the point where after he gets out, they bring him on stage for this presentation of, this new reformation method, I guess. And, like, they literally have this guy, like, insulting him and, like, spitting on him and just beating him up. And he can't even fight back because the stuff he saw was just so grim and ugly that he can't even bring himself to, do anything. And then finally he gets let back out on the streets, and he encounters all of his old enemies. Like, one of the guys that he attacked finally gets his revenge, and then one of his droogs is a cop now, and he just starts wailing on him. And it's just so over the top in its, like, imagery and its story, and it's so disturbing and gross. But it's just such a, not for everyone, but it's just such a crazy watch, just to watch this, like, early 70s movie and just be like, oh my god, this is insane. It's a movie that you could never make today, but it's still somehow just so good. It's one of the all-time classics. At number 5 is Barry Lyndon. Now, this is another historical drama. I think it's Stanley Kubrick's longest movie, if I'm not mistaken, but it's probably, I don't know, this is tough to say it's his best looking. I mean, he used, like, NASA lenses that were literally used in, like, cameras to take pictures in space of, like, other planets and stuff like that. He borrowed camera lenses from NASA just to make this movie look that more beautiful. And it's all lit by just candlelight and natural light, like the sun. So this movie just looks, like, so realistic. Like, it's one of the most realistic, maybe the most realistic looking movie just ever. People say that this movie is the closest thing to a moving painting that they've ever seen. And honestly, once you actually see it, like, it's true. This is just such a gorgeous movie to look at, and even with that, the story is so compelling. Like, some might think that it's, a little long and drawn out and boring, following the story of this guy, kind of, his uprising and then his downfall. But for me, as a Stanley Kubrick mark, I just thought it was one of the best ever stories of, a rise and fall, surrounded by some of the best looking camera work and set design in any movie ever. So for me, Barry Lyndon is number 5. The next 3, I'm still debating in my head because I know what my number 1 is, but my 2, 3, and 4, like, might as well all be tied for number 2. Like, especially given the fact that I'm gonna say that 2001: A Space Odyssey is my number 4. That just goes to show you how much I love these movies. I think if I did a list of my top 10 favorite movies of all time, all 4 of these would be in the top 10, maybe even top 5. Like, 2001: A Space Odyssey, it's not for everyone. It's definitely a love or hate type movie because it is paced like an erosion. But me personally, I mean, I love it. Like, there's so much about this movie that you can delve into, whether it's, the opening or, well, how it literally opens with just 5 minutes of just a black screen and creepy music. Like, I mean, some people would probably turn it off at that. But then you get the sequence at the beginning with like the apes or whatever, and then once you get that, you know, the iconic transition, I think that this is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. Once we get into space and we get to meet, you know, KUBRICK and especially HAL 9000, I personally think that HAL 9000 is the greatest movie villain of all time. I really do. It's literally just this AI robot that's depicted as one red light. And the way that Stanley Kubrick crafts the shots around this red light makes it look so creepy and menacing. Like, you know, the scene where they're in the pod talking about like, hey, we kind of probably have to disable this AI because it's kind of going crazy. It's starting to gain consciousness, and all the while, you know, in the background, you just see the light and you know that it's listening. And the quotes and the voice, it's just the best. I mean, we're only starting to get AI now, and this movie was made in 1968. I think that this is a movie that is so ahead of its time that its time hasn't even arrived yet, and probably won't for a very long time. Or maybe it will. We don't know. I hope not, because this movie's terrifying. But once the AI gains consciousness and absolutely, you know, freaks out and sends Dave, the character played by KUBRICK, into just like the spiral of like the colors and stuff, and he's just twitching like he's having a futuristic seizure or something, and then all up to the end where, you know, you get the big pillar, which I guess is supposed to be the alien, and the weird baby thing. I don't know what's up with the baby thing, but the pillar I think is cool. You know, that's kind of the one like through line throughout all the segments of the movie. Yeah, everything about this, but really I think to me it's down to HAL 9000, because that thing it's petrifying. Like, oh my god, I can't even begin to explain like the chills that I felt after it, you know, realized what was going on, gained consciousness, and, you know, the lines like, "I'm sorry, Dave, I'm afraid I can't do that." Like, oh my god, he's the best. It's the best. I don't know. It's a robot, but it's the best robot. At number 3 is Eyes Wide Shut, the movie that all the conspiracy guys think that got Stanley Kubrick killed, which, well, did it? Because the portrayal of the elite and the rich in this movie is pretty damning, you know, with the whole get together thing with the masks and the creepy ass music and chanting and, you know, the other stuff. You know what I'm talking about. Tom Cruise puts in an awesome performance, and really a movie that you wouldn't think like Tom Cruise would do. Like, this ain't Mission Impossible or Top Gun. This is something completely different. And Nicole Kidman might have the best performance out of anyone in any Stanley Kubrick movie. I mean, the monologue that she does in the bedroom, absolute chills. That's all I'll say. This movie is just so, it's creepy. It's got, you know, such a great like cold vibe and atmosphere to it. It's so like weird and kind of off the wall, but in a way that gets you thinking. You know, it's like, well, you know, what if, right? This movie is so awesome, and I think it's so underappreciated. Like, a lot of people put this towards the bottom of their lists, and I don't really get it. I think this movie is amazing. I have the poster right off to the side, and you can't really see it, but this movie's awesome, and it sure as hell, for me at least, was gonna make it into the top 3. Now, what I just said about Nicole Kidman, I think can mostly be rivaled by one other dude, and that's Arlie Ermey as Gunnery Sergeant Hartman in Full Metal Jacket. This movie rules so hard, like, you have no idea. The first half of this movie, like, I'll admit, I think some of the critics go a little too harsh on the second half, but I will say that the second half, in my opinion, isn't as great as the first half when they're in the boot camp. But dude, the first half of this movie it's something else, man. This is the best war movie of all time, I think, undisputed. And just the opening, I'll start with the first half because that's the part that I love the most. There's no other movie that shows like the boot camp, training camp, whatever you want to call it, process as harsh, in depth, and also completely historically accurate, at least when we're talking about the Vietnam War, as the first half of Full Metal Jacket. I watched this with my grandfather, and the whole time he was like, you know, this isn't crazy. Arlie Ermey was actually, you know, a veteran himself, so he knew how to play the character perfectly, you know, without going too over the top and wacky, but also not underselling it. But he's still so incredibly insane and has the best and probably funniest dialogue unintentionally in any Stanley Kubrick movie ever. Like, the insults that he's hurling at these guys is like, you start to laugh at it, but then you realize, no, this is real. Like, this guy, like, guys like this existed, and we're actually doing this and saying this stuff to all of these people. It's insane. And then you do get into the second half with, you know, this shootout in the building with the girl, and it is very intense. And then, you know, kind of in between that, you get to see a little bit of just what like a regular average day would look like just out in Vietnam, in the regular city, you know, when they're actually not at war, you know, shooting at others. And I think that's something that other movies kind of tend to gloss over, that like, yeah, these guys were, you know, in training camp or in the battlefield, but there was also a lot of time where they just kind of were in Vietnam. And this kind of shows the stuff that they got up to pretty accurately. You know, it is my favorite war movie. War is one of my favorite genres, and this is my favorite of that, and it's without a doubt gonna be number 2. But going from my favorite war movie to my favorite horror movie, and in my opinion, the best movie ever made, and that's The Shining. The Shining is like nothing else. Like, it manages to kind of have like this surface level, you know, horror movie that, you know, any, you know, regular viewer can understand. Like, family goes up to a hotel, kind of goes crazy, you know, sees a bunch of ghosts because of like isolation, or, you know, the hotel is haunted. So it manages to have like a regular average story that anybody can see, but it also has so many different layers throughout the entire movie that if you wanted to delve into it, there is so much there. People are still discussing this movie and coming up with new theories to this day. This movie was released in 1980 and it's 2026. Like, that's how much of an impact this movie has made. The performances by everyone, Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, Danny Lloyd, Scatman Crothers, everyone just leaps off the screen so well. Like, this is Jack Nicholson, one of the biggest actors ever, but when I watch The Shining, I don't see Jack Nicholson, I see Jack Torrance, and that's the same with every other actor. Like, they just fully embody what their character is and is supposed to be, And I know that, like, this is one of those movies that Stanley Kubrick kind of went overboard with in the directing. But I'll tell you what, maybe it was worth it, because this movie is so iconic, legendary. Any other similar word like that you can apply to this movie. I think every scene, for the most part, has, you know, something to offer, something to give, something memorable in it, whether it be, you know, the twins, or Lloyd the bartender, or Jack Torrance's, you know, typewriter when Wendy finds the work and it just says all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, which ultimately reveals that he never really went crazy. He was already just crazy from the beginning. And then you kind of dig below the surface and you kind of learn that Jack Torrance is, you know, he's not just this like regular husband. He's this abusive piece of shit, both mentally, physically, probably sexually, like it's really heavily implied. And then you dig even deeper and you realize that these ghosts probably aren't real. Like, they're just, like, there's so much there. This movie just is like, my brain to this day can't even comprehend how something like this was even made. Like, this is the greatest movie of all time, bar none. It's not just Stanley Kubrick's best. I love this movie, and for me, I could go on all day. That's what I always say when I talk about this movie. I could literally go on all day talking about this movie because there is so much there. But I'm gonna cut it short here just because I'm looking at the recording time and we're almost at an hour. So I think it's time to wrap this up. But hopefully I've got across how much I absolutely adore The Shining. So if you made it this far, thank you for watching. This is probably my longest video yet. I very much appreciate your time, you know, you watching this video. If you would like to, you know, you can leave a like or subscribe, whatever, do all that. And also, if you want to, you can leave a comment ranking your list or just talking about mine, you know, I don't care. Either way, I love reading you guys' comments. And especially in a topic like this, my favorite director, dude, you gotta say something down there. But regardless, that's gonna be it for me. If you want me to make any more director rankings, let me know. Let me know who, unless it's someone crazy like, I don't know, like Alfred Hitchcock, where he's got like 768, like, probably not gonna be doing that anytime soon. But, you know, let me know whatever you want. I don't care. All I care about is that you enjoyed this video, and if you super enjoyed it, stick around for the next video. Not sure when it'll be, not sure what it'll be, but it will be another ranking. So if you like rankings, stick around. Thank you very much once again. Peace out.